1 minute before the big argument, I thought, what made this team so dysfunctional? Today's episode is entitled Solving Team Dysfunction Strategies for Building a High Performing Team. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart, intelligent folks out there, we're not going to make it difficult or challenging. It just simply means Ed. I have an 8-point framework. In this framework, I do my very best to unpack today's title. Do you mind if I share a quote with you? Today's quote is an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone, but you'll never go far that way. If you don't like that one, here's another one by Alex Hormozy. The most expensive thing you ever pay for isn't your car, it isn't your house, it isn't your insurance. It's the information that you don't know but should. Ooh, that's powerful. Let's jump right into point number one. Point number one, leading by examples. Listen, leadership should model the behavior they expect from the team. I shared this before with you, family. My mom would always say, don't do as I do, do as I say. And I always say, Mom, I disagree with you because if I'm seeing what you're doing, then I'm probably going to implement or model what you're doing. She got a laugh out of that every time I would say that. But the point of it is that leaders must be transparent. They must communicate and be approachable. I don't understand. You know, there's been organizations I've been in where leaders were not approachable. They'll say, we have an open door policy. And you're like, well, what does that mean? And they think you're being funny because, you know, where they'll say there's an open door policy, but the door is always closed. It's never cracked open so you could come in and have a great conversation. So what I'm saying here for point number one, leaders should occasionally share their own failures and vulnerabilities to foster a culture of openness and trust. I don't know how many times when I've worked for some of the best leaders out there that the more vulnerable they were, the more open they were about their failures and how they corrected their failures, gave me an opportunity to model. It gave me a, watch this family, an ability to look inside the window of the house to say, oh, that's what they did. It's possible that I can do it as well. So what leaders don't understand, when they're being vulnerable and sharing their own failures, it creates an opportunity for someone that is either reporting up to them or admire what they're doing, that's saying, yes, they may have failed there, but look how they bounce back. Hey, family, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. This for more insightful information around project management and personal development. Also sign up for the newsletter I created. Everyone, if you're interested, a little 7-point strategy outline around project management, just my thoughts, right or wrong, just what I was thinking at the time. Let's get into point number two. Point number two, leadership rotation. Ooh, I love this. Now I know people are going to push back, and I love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Leave it in the comments. But leadership rotation, what does that look like, ED? Well, this is what it looks like. It's regularly rotating team leadership roles to give everyone the experience of leading. How many times have you heard someone say, man, if I was leading this is how I would have done it. If I was leading this is how I'll do it. Well, then if you give them that opportunity to be in the hot seat, now they have a better understanding of what it's like dealing with challenging team members or challenging stakeholders. Now that conversation changes and shifts to, oh, I see what you mean when you had to deal with that. See, family, that's the problem is that we try so hard to cover everyone. I remember when I first started learning how to ride a bicycle, my mom, in her genius way, she said, we're not even putting training wheels on them. I said, the devil is a lie. She said, no, he is a lie. You're right, but we're still not putting training wheels on there. And I said, okay, so how are we going to ride this bike? She said, I want to have you ride the bike without the training wheels because you're going to fall down and then you're going to get up. See, if I took the training wheels off, if I started you off with training wheels, then yes, you would have the confidence. But then when I took those off, you wouldn't have had the confidence that you potentially could have. Okay, what am I saying here? What I'm saying here, family, is that sometimes we protect our team so much that we don't allow them to experience the frustration that as leaders we experience. Sometimes what we do is we're so busy guarding or blocking our team from the information of what other stakeholders are saying and them not experiencing. And then when they do experience, they're in shock, they're in awe because they're like, well, how do I respond? We should be giving a little dose, giving them tablespoons of the experience. So when it's their turn to step up as a leader within their career and they're exposed to that, they're not, as they would say, shell shocked. So really, family, I really truly believe in doing that. As far as this is how you also build leaders. If you're really looking to promote individuals within the organization, this is an exact replica of how you can build leaders within. Point number three, investing in team building and development. Listen, this right here is so key. Occasionally when you include high stress team building exercises, you have the opportunity to test the strength of the teams, how resilient they are. And these are just exercises. And we know with exercises, when you do something repeatedly or continuously, you're able to grow from it. So then when it happens, when the real thing happens, then you're already ready to deal with it. One of the things is, I always use a lot of sports analogies because one of my favorite sports is basketball. And I have to admit, I never used to take practice seriously until one day a coach pulled me aside and he said, listen, if you take the time to practice almost similar how you want to play the game, it will show up in the actual game. And then I started hearing NBA players talk about taking practice more seriously. And that's the whole point of exercise. If you're going through the exercises, it allows you with your team and building your team and doing team trust type activities. Then when the real thing happens, they know right away, you got my back, I got your back. Let's move on to point number 4. Leverage conflict resolution tools. Listen, when you look at conflict resolution tools, one of the things that I think is a lost art is bringing in a mediator. That doesn't have to be a mediator outside the organization. It could be a mediator from another team within that same department so they can really hear where they don't have a biased opinion, meaning that they're just listening to the facts. They're hearing the facts on both sides. And when we do that, when that happens, you really get the chance to see, because not all the emotion is removed away. We're just studying and looking at the facts. And now we can have an open, transparent conversation about, hey, where that person, maybe that person was wrong, or maybe they weren't. But either way, we're able to be very transparent with it, and we can encourage the team members to address this head on. Point number 5, emphasizing experimenting. I just got done watching one of I think it's Steve Bartlett's videos behind, I think it's one of the channels is behind the, I can't recall it, behind something. But what I love what he talked about is something I've done much more in my life is experimenting more. I really believe, and this is just me, my thoughts, right or wrong, what I was thinking at the time, being able to publicly support team members who take educated, or I should say calculated risk, even when the efforts don't succeed. As when we were going through school, when we didn't do well on a test, it was looked upon as you done something wrong, instead of looked upon of, okay, you have an opportunity to correct what, now you know where you're weak at. Let's go and correct that. When I failed the PMP the very first time, I was so frustrated and I had to change my mindset. Okay, what am I not picking up here? Where are my weaknesses? And PMI, they were like, hey, this is what you done well at, and this is basically where you didn't do well at, by saying, okay, below target, above target, and things of that nature. So being able to literally train managers to lead with empathy and understanding during these experimenting phases. Because listen, this is what I love what Steve said. We're in an era right now where things are moving faster than our minds are actually moving, with AI and just basically technology in general. Because of that, we have to be cognizant of taking opportunities to experiment and run many experiments to see how well they will work. And if they don't work, what do we learn from it? Let's move on to point number 6. I call this the why method, challenging the status quo regularly. Listen, Becoming too comfortable of the way things has always been done will stifle, and I do mean stifle, an individual as well as an organization. One of the favorite things, family. I had to take breathing practices when I used to hear this when I was leading teams, and I would say, so why are we doing that? Uh, Again, the why method. Why are we doing that? And they'll say, well, we've always done it that way. Huh? You've always done it that way, and so you can't explain the why behind it. So being able to really regularly review processes and encourage, this is key, family, watch this, encourage team members to suggest improvements and celebrate those who bring new ideas to the table, even if these ideas challenge the existing norms. I know that when you would challenge existing norms, it makes people that may have either put those in place or didn't have the courage to challenge those that are in place, or watch this, the third thing, that thought about it but said, well, that's how we always do it. So they just roll with the punches. And now you come along and you say something to challenge it, and then leadership say, yeah, I like where he's going with that, or I like where she's going. Let's go ahead and implement that. And now they're frustrated. So, family, have the courage to challenge the norms. Ask that why. I use that why method. Why? Why are we doing this? Why does this make sense? Why are we leveraging this process? Is there another process that we can look at to see? And it's not always trying to get the newest thing or the next, as they would say, the next shiny object, having a shiny object syndrome. No, it's about actually saying, is this process current to what we're doing? I remember for the longest, people didn't want to leverage a Scrum or an Agile type framework. They were like, no, we're going to use a waterfall for this software project. And it was like, but it doesn't make sense for this software project because we need immediate feedback if the software is not working appropriately. All right, I drained that point long enough. Let me move on to point seven. Point seven, break down silos between departments. Listen, one of the leaders that I worked for previously, I love when he used to do this. He would take one of his team members. First he connected with the leaders in his department. He said, "Hey, this is what I would like to do. I would like to literally do almost like a cross departmental projects with you. And normally, when you lead projects, it is more of a cross matrix, but you're working with departments all over the organization. So sometimes we miss what's right in front of our face. What do you mean by that, Ed? Meaning that being able to run little small mini projects with cross departmental people in your department really allows for to really break up these silos, to break up these pockets where people just go in this little pocket and just stay there. And it's not good because now you're putting limitations on the potential of collaboration, which leads to inefficiency. And when you have inefficiency, now you have a lack of shared goals. Point number 8. Hey, I'm all about this. Let's confront office politics head on. What does that mean? That means office politics can be a detrimental to team cohesiveness and trust because I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if you're about to stab me in the back. I don't even know if you're going to stab me in the side. Matter of fact, I don't know what you're about to do. And because of that, I think I'm going to exemplify the power of silence. I'm not going to share anything with you. You're going to go have to figure it out. Now what happens is the team breaks down because somebody may have some tribal knowledge that they're unwilling to share because what comes with that is feedback of they're going to misuse. I said we all get used, but we should not be misused. There's a difference when you get misused, meaning someone is manipulating you, somebody is taking advantage of you, somebody is putting you in an uncompromising position. Hey family, I got one bonus for you before I close today. Challenge the hierarchical structure. What does that mean? Traditional hierarchical structures can stifle creativity and communication. Team members must, and I do must, feel a way that they can express their opinions that may contradict of someone else's and not receive a feedback where it's like, why did you say that? No, if it was professional, if it was not opinionated and it was more based on facts and not emotions, please share that. Hey family, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I go by the name of ED. Until next time, I'm out.